Welcome to World Buzz Bulletin, bringing you the most critical developments from across the globe, the 26th of December, 2025. While much of the world observes a day of peace and reflection, the reality on the ground in major conflict zones remains one of profound gravity and escalating humanitarian concern. We begin in Palestine, where the situation on this Christmas Day is described by international observers as a harrowing display of unyielding violence and systemic destruction. For months, the relentless cycle of military operations and what many international human rights organizations are now characterizing as a continuous campaign of terror has reshaped the landscape into one of ruins and absolute desperation. Overnight reports indicate that heavy strikes have intensified across central and southern districts, leaving families with absolutely nowhere to turn as the few remaining medical facilities struggle to operate under a total and suffocating siege. The international community continues to witness a staggering and heart-wrenching loss of civilian life, with essential infrastructure, including schools, shelters, and residential blocks, bearing the brunt of the ongoing offensive. The question of when this cycle of violence will finally end hangs heavily over the region, as the Palestinian people ask how much longer they must endure such devastation before they can finally live their lives in total freedom and dignity. Diplomats at the United Nations have once again convened for an emergency session, yet a permanent ceasefire remains elusive amidst the mounting rubble. The resilience of the Palestinian people is being tested to its absolute limit as they face not only the immediate threat of bombardment but also the creeping, lethal shadows of famine and disease. Activists and humanitarian leaders worldwide are calling for an immediate and unconditional cessation of hostilities, arguing that the path to a free and peaceful life can only begin with a total withdrawal of forces and a genuine international commitment to sovereign rights. Shifting our focus to Eastern Europe, the conflict in Ukraine shows no signs of abating as the country enters another grueling and frozen winter of full-scale war. On the front lines in the donbas, Ukrainian forces remain locked in a brutal war of attrition, defending their territory against a continuous onslaught that has defined the last several years. The energy grid remains a primary target for long-range strikes, leaving millions in Kyiv and surrounding regions to navigate sub-zero temperatures with only intermittent power and heating. Despite the arrival of advanced defense systems from Western allies, the sheer scale of the aerial campaign has forced many into underground shelters this evening. The government in Kyiv has issued a fresh message of defiance, asserting that the sovereignty of Ukraine is non-negotiable, even as the human cost continues to mount. The global impact of this war, from grain exports to international security alliances, remains the central focal point of European policy heading into the new year. As we look at these two theaters of war, the common thread is the immense and unnecessary suffering of ordinary people caught in the machinery of violence. The hope for a world where every individual can live freely and without the fear of terror is the driving force behind the global movements we see today. Ending these cycles of conflict requires a fundamental shift in how the international community enforces accountability and protects our shared humanity. Thank you for choosing World Buzz Bulletin for your global news coverage. Stay safe and stay informed. Free Palestine, free Ukraine, stand against terrorism, save humanity.